I can't guarantee anything. I'm not sure, but we're going to pass it over to the Melia family, and they're going to wrap up the second half of the 10 core commitments. We love you guys. Be blessed. And here's to 2020 and the greatest decade that, certainly this year, but the greatest decade that all of us are going to have in Legal Shield. Bye-bye for now.
Oh, I can hear the loud applause from all over the Coliseum, and I can hear Mel Roberson playing the music, and I see Jeff Bell down in front. I love speaking at international conventions, whether it's virtually from my living room or I'm on stage somewhere around the world. I love connecting with Legal Shield and training and just sharing some of the stories that we've had over the years. We are so happy to be with you. And on the other end, we're a little sad because you guys are great friends. It's what we look forward to, from the eating banquet to the breakout sessions and the parties and everything in between. But we're making the best of a bad situation right now. And thank God we are so blessed that we have a company like Legal Shield that turns on a dime and lets us still all get together for this amazing convention that we've been a part of all weekend. And let me first off, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Steve Melia. You see my brother Mike Melia, 18 years older than me. My partner Kim. I'm not going to say her age, but we've been working together as business partners for over 20 years here at Legal Shield, and we love what we do. And sometimes I think it's important to sort of do blue sky thinking and say, if I had to do it all over again, would I be doing what I'm doing today? And I can tell you, first of all, I would absolutely be in the network marketing industry of everything, especially right now, right? But I've always felt this way. I think it's the best industry, gives us a chance to earn residual income, to leverage ourselves, be around people that we care about, to travel to exotic locations all over the world. I love network marketing. And then you break it down and say, okay, would you still join the same company you knew today? I promise you I would. We have been so blessed to have a home office staff that most of them have been around for decades. We've got provider attorneys that get up every day and go to work for us. And it's just an amazing company with Legal Shield. I look and say, okay, would I have the same business partners that I have today? You know that I would. I'm so lucky and fortunate to have two of the most talented individuals in the network marketing industry, in Mike Melia and Kim Melia. And so we're honored today to share some information about core commitments 6 through 10. It's so great that John and Darcy did the first 5 because they were our mentors in the industry. They're people that, held up the light and said, man, it's the light at the end of the tunnel's here and it's wonderful. And this is a great lifestyle with no network marketing experience. When we first started, we learned so much from John and Darcy. And then, when we came over to Legal Shield, even though we had been in network marketing for 4 years, we had done so well that we were still living with our older sister. So, times weren't so great. In fact, we were driving a little beat up Geo Metro at the time, Mike and I, and we were just hoping that we could last long enough to get our next paycheck and then last long enough to get our next paycheck. But we believed in the concept. And what we were doing is we were doubling every year. I made a few thousand my first year, a few thousand more the second year. And by the 4th year in the industry, I was making about 40, 50,000, starting to maybe pay my bills a little bit. But all of a sudden, we got purchased by this company that was prepaid legal back then, Legal Shield today. And in our first 12 months, made over $250,000, right? And it wasn't so much what we did there, but it was the activities over the 4 years that led us to that. Those activities, the 10 core commitments. And know this about the 10 core commitments, okay, is that these weren't designed by Mr. Stonecipher in 1972. These were designed by the leaders years and years after a lot of the success was already incorporated, right? We said, what did we do to be successful? And we started going through all the things. And one day we came out with the 10 core commitments. And so that is a little bit of the history of the 10 core commitments. But know this, if 2 guys can go from living with their sister, sharing a room in the attic upstairs bedroom, to never earning less than $250,000 every year for over 20 years. If we could do it, we know that you can do it. And we want to help inspire you and give you some tips that helped us get to where we are today. So first I'd like to go to number 6. We're going to sort of tag team this training a little bit, but I'm going to go to her home in Mexico, to Kim Melia, to talk about attending and building into your Super Saturdays.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I got started my business in Canada, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my story as we go through the training here. But welcome, everybody. How are you? We're just super excited to be here virtually with you. And we wish that we could give you a hug, but a virtual hug is all we can do right now. So lock in for these last 5 core commitments, but Super Saturdays. Well, here's what I love about Super Saturdays. Number 1 was that there's so much education, there's so much things that we can learn in Legal Shield, and that they provide that for you locally. There's other events locally that you've heard of, but providing a Super Saturday where they bring in guest speakers from all over North America, I love that because I got to hear from so many different folks, which made me believe that I could do it. Because if I could see somebody else doing it from the stage or a testimonial, it just put more belief in myself. So attend the Super Saturdays. They're motivating, they're inspiring, they can keep you going. And it's really, really good to bring guests, right? It's one thing to go there by yourself, and there's another thing to have the team. I'll talk about that in a minute, but it's another thing to bring guests. It's such a great overview for all of the guests to see us put our best foot forward and to put, you know, the best speakers up on stage and whatnot. So it's really good to attend with the guests, and it's more exciting when you attend with the guests, but it is really good to attend with your team. You know, Mike and Steve, you guys taught me this when I first got started, was, you know, take inventory, Kim, take inventory of your team. How many people do you have at the weekly meeting? Transfer that over to the Super Saturday. And how many people do you have at the Super Saturday? Transfer it over to the International Convention. And eventually you'll have 100 people attending at an international convention, and that could potentially bring you into your ring. And that's just kind of the numbers that we looked at. So every Super Saturday, I would want more people from my team and more guests at that Super Saturday that I had at the last Super Saturday. It's pretty simple and it's pretty easy math, but I challenge you to do it because it's something that makes you focus and it makes you have a goal. Eventually, you'll start counting the Super Saturdays all over different provinces, different states. It's so exciting, and heck, maybe even in the UK, you never know, right? So it's a really great place though to recognize the team and to give awards and just to be there with everybody and celebrate as well. So let's go over to Mike for some of your comments.
Hey, Kim, thank you so much. And you did a great job right there. And I'll tell you, you know, like one of the sub-themes of what Kim was talking about is building from event to event. You're building from a private business reception or a Zoom call into a weekly meeting, from a weekly meeting into a Super Saturday, and all the time gathering more people, you know. And I'll tell you, one of my alarms just went off for a call that I have on a daily basis. But I tell you guys, you know, Super Saturdays, right? You're growing your team from Super Saturday to Super Saturday, so be goal-oriented. Don't just let it happen. Write your goals down for that. And then, you know, the other tip I have that'll really serve us making our Super Saturdays more effective and growing them all across the nation and Canada, obviously, is get your tickets ahead of time. When the people who are running the local Super Saturday, you know, give you a deal at the previous Super Saturday, maybe buy 2, maybe buy 5, whatever, do that and plan on growing your team. The most important thing you can do is to continue to grow. So, Steve, over to you.
Absolutely. Great job. And we call it real estate in the room. You know, whether we're talking about Super Saturdays, number 6 or number 7, building for the International Convention. How many people do you have there? I remember, Kim, when you met Kai Deering, she was so excited. It was Vegas. I think we were at, I forget which resort it was, but she came up to you. She's like, "Hi, I'm Kai Deering." And you said, "Hey, nice to meet you." And she said something, "I'm excited about the business. I'm going to kill this." And you said, "Great. How many people do you have here?" And she was like, I think she just said, "It's me." And you looked at her as a great coach and you said, "Don't ever let that happen again." And so unfortunately she went from being high as a kite to being like, "Oh," but it made her really focus on the most important thing. It's how many people can you bring to the International Convention? So it first starts off with a big goal. Maybe your goal is 10, maybe it's 100, but then putting events around for your team. You know, like for us, we're at the point now where we have a huge party or we have a big dinner, or we have a performance club dinner, but plan like you're going to have a lot of people there and then build for it. Now, our next international convention is going to be Charlotte. And for everything that you're going to hear, today's Sunday, right? Everything from this point forward is all about building for Charlotte. So let's go to my partner, Mike Melia, to talk about building for the international conventions.
Hey, Steve, thanks so much. You know, yeah, I mean, again, this is an opportunity to grow from one event to the next event. And I always, you know, we've always conceived about it in building in 90-day cycles. So you're at the convention here now, and either tonight or tomorrow, you'll have a breakout session, hopefully with your team. During that particular time, set your goals up for the next 90 days. We run our business in 90-day cycles. It just makes sense, right? So we kick off each year with a January kickoff event. Company does them all around the country. We build from there into the Spring International Convention, from there into the team summer events, from there into the fall event, this time in Charlotte, North Carolina. which, maybe the next time we see a lot of you, but it's an exciting time. And again, in 90-day cycles, it's so important in growing your team from event to event. So Kim, if you have anything you'd like to add, I'll shoot it over to you.
All right. Well, I just love the international conventions. When I first got started, Canada wasn't open. So for 9 months, we worked for free, a few of us, and until we opened up. And I went to 3 international conventions. Why? Because my mentor told me to. Rob McKenzie told me to go and told me it would be the best thing for me to go. And I said, okay, but I'm not making any money. And he said, well, that's irrelevant. What's relevant is that you go and invest in yourself so that way long term you will be able to make unlimited amount of income. And guess what? That happened. In those 9 months, I attended those 3 international conventions. My belief went up. My vision went up. I had more confidence in myself to be able to do it because of all the testimonials and people that I heard. That I went home, and when we opened up in Canada, my very first month, full-time month, when I went full-time, was $5,500, and I made executive director. So thank goodness I listened to my mentors, and I went to those international conventions, and now fast forward over 20 years, here I am living in Mexico, but it was because of those small decisions that I made at the very beginning of my business. So back to you, Steve.
Absolutely. Well, sometimes one of the hardest things as an entrepreneur is to spend money when you're not making money. You got the whole outside world, the bill collectors, your family, your friends. They're saying, hey, is this really worth it? They care about you, but they don't want to see you fail. But there's a learning curve, right? And at the beginning, you're going to work way harder than the money that you're making. And at some point, many years ago for us, right, the money way surpasses the effort that you're putting in because it's flowing in. And so you got to realize, you got to have the faith and foresight to be able to look at something and say, are other people, if I follow the track of other people, will I achieve the same results as them? And for us, it was absolutely so. So attending international conventions, whether you've made a dime in the business or whether you're already making money, shouldn't be relevant, as Kim talked about. So great job. Now, as a business person, one of the things that you always want to focus on is getting customers. And we're really good at that. As a company, man, we got the great videos and 3-way phone calls and Zooms. It's one thing to get a customer, but that's only a fraction of the money that you're being paid for. Retaining your customers. I love the way that Nick Serba says it. As an executive director, you get paid $280 when you bring in a member, but that's not just for the act of signing them up. You're getting paid for 12 months, right? So if you divide that up by 12 months, do your job every single month in getting those members to stay. It's business 101. We're subscription based. If you have lots of subscribers, you're going to make lots of money. If your subscribers are canceling, you're not going to make as much money. And so you have the opportunity now to literally, from the very beginning, say, what is my culture of my team? Are we going to write good business? Are we going to be known as people that write good business? And to talk about some tips for that, we're going to go back to Kim to talk about retaining your members.
Awesome. Well, one of the first things that I heard was really to sell the membership right. So selling the membership right means to undersell and over-deliver. Look, guys, our membership is worth the phone consultation at $50 a month just for that, right? If you've used the membership, which I'm sure many of you have, like I've used it over 150 times in 21 years, I know that the membership works. So one of the things that we can do to make sure that we sell it properly is that we actually tell the people to go ahead and download the app. The app is one of the best things that you can do right in front of them, or maybe you can do it on a Zoom like this, because it tells them to get their will done. It tells them, you can start asking them, do you have something right now that you need to contact the lawyers for, or the attorneys for, stuff like that. How about preparing your will? How about preparing your living will? Showing them on their app. They are going to definitely see that they have more benefits. They can refer to it. They can go to it. It's just good to have that they have their mobile app right there. And then to follow up with our members, it's a great thing to follow up with them. Maybe it's a week later, 2 weeks, whatever your system is. Just make sure you have a system. Just contact them and say, how was the law firm when you contacted them regarding this issue? Or did you finish off your will and send it on off? Or did you get that speeding ticket taken care of, or whatever it is, right? Just to follow up with them. And then when you're following up with them, if you didn't at the beginning ask for referrals, well, darn it, I haven't said that in a while, but turn a piece of paper over like we used to with our membership apps, but just take out a piece of paper and say, hey, listen, how many people do you know right now need a will? How many sharp people like you make a decision about helping their families and getting themselves in place with the legal membership? How many people do you know? Or how many people do you know who has a circle of influence that we can get this membership out to the masses, because we know that the masses need this membership. So I just believe that, again, underselling and over-delivering is all we need to do. We have so many benefits in this membership, like it is unbelievable. But I know that if people just understood with their app, and they had their app in their hand, they're more apt to use it, and they're more apt to not cancel their membership. And the other thing I'll just mention really quickly here is pre-cancels. Make sure you work your pre-cancel members that you see. Don't be afraid to call them. Sometimes it's just, you know, a credit card that they need to have an expiry date updated. Maybe they did change their bank account or something like that, guys. It doesn't mean that they just want to cancel their membership. And then you can remind them. Maybe they didn't download the app. Remind them of some of the services before they even think about canceling it. Back to you, Steve.
Okay, great advice. And I think another great tip is, as soon as you can, as soon as you get started, visit your local law firm. I mean, I remember I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, when we first got started. I remember pulling into the law firm, and I literally had butterflies because I knew this was going to be a big project for us. And I remember walking into the law firm, meeting Rick Campbell. I remember looking up on the board, and they literally had all of the phone calls. How many people had called in that day? How many people, well, virtually everybody they had called back. How many had turned into a case, and all these different things. And to go back years later and see that maybe back then it was a few hundred phone calls, but today on an average day, over thousands of phone calls in some of the law firms. And to just see, you know, the hugeness of the opportunity that we're in front of, and the partnership that we have with the law firms. And now it's not uncommon for me to go golfing with some of the lawyers, or go to their conventions, or, you know, a phone call during the holidays, or something like that. Why? Because we're partners. Why? Because we've developed a relationship. Just like you do with your team, you want to have that kind of relationship with your law firm. And I'm telling you, if you believe more than anybody else in this membership, you'll wind up having good retention, because that belief will shine through. So great job talking about that. So let's move to commitment number 9. I love this one. Find a workout partner and a mentor. And before I throw it over to Mike, I'll just say this. Mike was naturally my workout partner, because we're brothers. We got involved at the same time. We didn't even know you were supposed to have a workout partner, but we were on the phone together constantly. We constantly did 3-way phone calls. Probably if we were on the phone for 6-8 hours a day, 3 or 4 of those hours, we would be on together, following up, booking a hotel room, whatever we had to do, we did it together. And so you want to really have somebody that you can, you know, in essence, go to war with and win this battle here at Legal Shield. And the thing I'll say about a mentor is, a lot of times your mentor will be from afar. You know, for me, it was Jim Rohn. I probably learned more from Jim Rohn than just about anybody. And I've only probably spent 3 minutes in real life with Jim Rohn. I've spent hundreds of hours listening on audio, probably only 3 minutes of shaking his hands and getting a couple pictures. But it just goes to prove you don't have to really know somebody that well to have them serve as your mentor. And so, Mike, in many ways, you've been my mentor for many years as well. So we'll throw it over to you to knock this out.
Well, Steve, thanks so much. You know, like you said, like in the beginning, we were just naturally workout partners. I remember it was in our very first few months in the industry that we had an opportunity to see Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield speak when they were just launching the chicken soup books. And one of the things that Jack said, he said, you know, in life, in business, you want to have a workout partner, a mastermind partner. And he said, and here was his definition: somebody who will stand back to back with you when the yogurt hits the fan, right? And me and Steve looked at each other in that moment, because we had that commitment to each other. We made a commitment to each other to be successful no matter what. And that's a strong commitment for a workout partner, right? And, you know, sharing also the mentorship stuff, like Steve said earlier, you know, we didn't know anybody in the industry when we started. And John Hoffman used to come to New York quite regularly. Patrick Shaw was living in there, and I was there the moment he signed up. I was sitting right at the table with him and Patrick when they signed up. Was the Cliff Malloy. You know, what a trio of people, right? But we learned from John. We would go to the event around the event and sit at the next table and listen to what he was saying. It was people take notes and stuff like that. You know, and taking notes is something we learned from Jim Rohn. I go way back. You know, Jim would always say, if you're ready, say I'm ready. And then he would also, one of his favorites was, for your notes. So Kim, I'll shoot it over to you.
Hey, this is one of my favorites too, is, a workout partner is somebody, you guys did a great job. A workout partner is somebody that you're accountable to. And so when you go to the gym, at least for me, if I go to the gym to work out by myself, completely different if I have my workout partner with me. We push each other to the limits. Push each other to the limits. It's okay to push each other to the limits. To what? To have massive success and to be able to live your dreams. It's okay to do that. And that's what a workout partner is. And sometimes people say, well, Kim, I can't find a workout partner. And I said, well, okay. First of all, that's what the event around events are for. It doesn't have to be in your lineage. You really want to get to the events before, you want to hang out after, you want to mingle and get to know people so you can see who's like-minded, maybe the same rank. And then they can be your workout partner. You guys can be them. But it's a give and take. You must have a give and take here. You've got to be a good workout partner to get a good workout partner. It's not about complaining. It's not about, sitting there talking about all this other things. It's about being accountable, 3-way calls, how many exposures, what's your numbers, all that kind of stuff. And trust me, it's a really, really great thing to have. And then the mentor thing, listen, we have coaches in our life. We've got tennis coaches. We've got coaches for our finances, our nutrition, swimming, art, all these different things. Why wouldn't you have a mentor here? The thing I loved about Legal Shield, again, is that you can find people here that can be your mentor, whether it's your upline platinum executive directors, whether it's, people that you just have at your local presentations, your meetings and stuff like that you find. Maybe it's somebody that you heard at your Fast Start trainings. It could be anybody, but the good news is that the mentors are out there for you to assist and help you. And then eventually what's going to happen is you're going to be a mentor, and that's going to mean a lot. That's called the ripple effect that really happens. It's really exciting. So Steve, back to you.
Okay. Thanks, Kim. I appreciate that. And Mike, and probably the number one thing that, kills somebody in this business is that they quit. Some people quit in their first 30 days when it gets tough. Some people quit in their first 90 days. Some people a year in and say, man, I'm just not seeing whatever it is. And our job is to always help people keep going, right? And that's really one of the things a workout partner and a mentor is for, is just keep encouraging people. It's worth it. It's worth it. Keep going. It's worth it. Keep going. It's worth it. And really, which leads us to number 10 and, of the 10 core commitments. And number 10 wouldn't be possible without the other 9. So you're doing all the other 9, right? And then someone says, well, what do I do to really be successful? And it's double your business a year from now, but that starts by not quitting, right? So there's really 2 parts to that. Be here a year from now and make sure along the way you're doubling your business by doing all the right activities over and over and over and over. Seem to make no difference in the act of doing them, but it's the compounded effect that'll eventually kick in. But if you're not working consistently, and what does Jeff Bell always say? He talks about raising the bar. Your belief, your activity will eventually determine your results. So be here, but then double your business in the meantime. And I'm going to throw, that's my time. I'm going to throw the call over to the Zoom over to my partners really to close out here. But guys, we can't wait to see you, whether it's at a next Super Saturday, a weekly meeting, Mexico, Charlotte, whatever it is. We look forward to reconnecting once again to our favorite group of people in the world. That's our Legal Shield family. So with that being said, I will throw it over to Mike.
Hey, Steve, thanks so much. And when I saw this double your business thing, when I started thinking about it, I got my calculator out and I did a little bit of math. And here's how you do it. It's a 6% growth. You grow 6% month to month to month to month. And the end of the year, you double your business. If you've got 100 associates on your team now, you grow 6%, you'll have 202 associates a year from now. If you have 200 associates now, you'll have 400 a year from now. If you have 20 now, you'll have 40 a year from now. If you grow at that simple rate, it's a simple enough rate to grow at. And again, it's always speed of the leader. The speed of the leader will determine the speed of the pack. So commit to the 10 core, stay true to them, and they will work for you. And I'll turn it over to my partner, Kim. Steve, great to always work with you, even if we're socially distancing right now. Kim, always good to see you. Stay safe, stay strong. Over to you.
Okay, well, thanks, guys. And that's really our last bit of the 10 core commitments. We want to say we thank you guys for holding in with us. We want you to lock in for the rest of this convention, this virtual convention. You've gotten so much information right now. Here's what we want to make sure you do. Put it into activity, right? listen, we're quarantined, at least most of us should be, but we're quarantined for 30 days. At least I am. I know Mike is. I know Steve is. I know many of you are. So we're quarantined. What are you going to do in these 30 days? Are you going to learn a new language? Are you going to take yoga for 30 days? Are you going to take a new sport, learn how to knit, sing, guitar? I mean, I don't know. How about build your business? How about go out there and make a new rank, make the ring, help others right now that are having so many issues from everything that you can imagine, right? Help be the solution. And please come from compassion. Right now, we don't need to be arrogant and tell people, hey, we work from home and we're smart because we've worked from home for the last 21 years. No, we come from compassion and solution oriented because we know we have something that people will be able to have not just as a plan B or a multiple stream of income, but if they choose to, they can have this as their plan A. Thank goodness that we chose this as our plan A, that's for sure. But guys, just act now and let's just have some fun and make sure you attend your breakout sessions, whether they're right,